We won 3-0 yesterday. Doesn't feel like it, does it? It certainly didn't feel like it at full time because of moments like this, performances like that. But we're in the hat. That's what they say, isn't it? We're in the hat. That's all that matters. We are in the hat for the fourth round. Aston Villa away awaits us. And why am I more confident of Spurs putting in a better performance away at Aston Villa than we did at Tamworth yesterday, a non-league side? And look, before we get into anything, welcome back to the channel. Spurs are through. North London derby on Wednesday. There'll be content before that game. Make sure to like and subscribe for that. I'll be streaming a little bit later on as well to talk about latest transfer bits. Yesterday was one of the weirdest feelings I think I've had after a Spurs game because I just felt embarrassed. To be honest, I don't feel like that way now. I'm just relieved that we're through, and I'm glad that we're through. I don't really care about what happened yesterday anymore. I think we're going to break it down, obviously, in this game. We're not going to break it down in too much detail. We're kind of just going to talk through the kind of key talking points of the game, and we'll have a little bit of a chat about it in the comments as well. But yesterday, it was really, really poor from Spurs for most of it. And the difference, it came in extra time when we brought real quality onto the pitch. Real quality onto the pitch in Kulusevski, Bergvall as well. I think Bergvall might have come on just before extra time. But in terms of increasing the tempo and the pace, which is something that Ali McCoist kept banging on about in commentary, was the tempo. And that's what it did, and just increased that intensity a little bit, and that quality in the end just shone through. But we're talking about a non-league team here. And look, full credit to Tamworth, full respect to Tamworth, because they put up a real fight. They were superb, and they deserved the replay. You know, obviously we can talk about the FA Cup replay situation and the fact that these kind of teams lower down the pyramid are being robbed financially of experiences like being able to come back to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and, you know, give us another go there. You know, we turned them over in the end, but it shouldn't have come to that, and it nearly didn't come to that. And that is down to their application and desire and belief. And this is the thing about Tottenham, is that no matter how many times we can beat Liverpool and play really well, I was on cloud 9 on Friday when I made that video. No matter how many times we can beat Liverpool, beat Man United, beat Man City in the Cup, go away to the Etihad, thump teams like that, like, teams are always going to feel like they're in the game against us. And that's not down to Ange's style or anything like that necessarily, because teams have felt like that under when we had Conte, when we had Mourinho, when we had Poch. You know, we'll always give you a chance. And they had a chance in the first 15 seconds or 20 seconds of the game. Sorry, I've got something in my eye here. They had a chance within the first 15 or 20 seconds of the game. You know, we lose the ball in midfield, and they're running at our back four. And a Zara shop assistant, forgive me, what was his name? Was it Anoru? And I don't want to disrespect Tamworth by saying, like, oh, what was their name? I genuinely can't remember. Obviously, we all remember Tom Tonks. I made a video on TikTok before the game about his throwing, and we saw that a couple of times yesterday. I was most relieved man in the world when he came off the pitch, because the longer that game went on at 0-0, if he gets a throw, my God, he already hit the post from one, and that was a foul. But Anoru, you know, I thought Pedro Porro yesterday had a nightmare. Look, we can talk about Timo Werner. Obviously, we're going to talk about Werner. Brennan Johnson, Werner, and Porro were the standouts as the worst players on the pitch for Tottenham. The worst players. I think Pedro Porro, let's see if we can get it up here. Pedro Porro, I don't know if you can see that. Let me just quickly move this across. Oh, no, you won't be able to. Let's try this. Let me just... Sorry, give me a sec. Just so I can bring up his stats. There we go. Pedro Porro, here we go. We've got his stats here. Pedro Porro, where was it? Lost the ball. Can you see that? 45 times he lost it yesterday. Pedro Porro lost the ball 45 times. That's got to be some sort of record somewhere. You know, and it's such a strange one with Porro, because I thought he had a brilliant game against Liverpool, and you think about the quality of that clipped ball down the line to Solanke. To give the ball away 45 times against a non-league side and get skinned by a guy that works part-time in Zara. And again, I don't want to be patronising. That's not what I'm trying to do here. That's just the reality of the situation. And, you know, I also don't want to keep going credit to Tamworth as like a little pat on the head, not on, like, you know, to acknowledge them. But they gave it a real good go. And, yeah, this, you know, first 15, 20 seconds of the game, they're running at our back four. Kinski has to tip it over the bar. This moment here, I don't get nervous, but I'm starting to get a little bit shaky. Throw gets launched in. Obviously, it ends up being a foul, but it goes all the way through. Arsenal are coming in for a bid, I heard, for Tom Tonks. And I know they got attacking injuries, but maybe he could be their secret weapon. There he is as well. Tonks arriving late on the edge of the box. This is a great block from Gray, because if you look at the trajectory of that pass, all right, Kinski probably has it covered, but you never know. And I thought Kinski was one of the players as well that could, come away from the game with his head held high yesterday. Dealt with balls into the box really well for the most part. Made a couple of saves. And I made a TikTok talking about this, and we're going to have conversations like this for, of course, the next few months. But obviously, you guys will have seen that Vicario is back in training, and we're recording Darren and Doing in a little bit, straight after this actually, at 2:00. And one of the questions from someone was about whether Kinski, or I keep saying Kinski. I don't know whether that's just I don't know. Is it Kinski or Kinski? Please let me know in the comments. Whether Kinski or Vicario will be the number one, and how much of a battle they will actually have for that shirt. It's going to be very, very interesting. But good block from Archie Gray. Again, Archie Gray, like his interviews after the game, like we're not making excuses, all that kind of stuff. How level-headed he is for an 18-year-old. That is, for me, and his performance yesterday, I thought he was good. Again, I thought there was a number of players that actually did play well, to be fair. And again, it's really hard to say, look, this player was outstanding when we were playing a non-league side. But I thought Yves Bissouma played really well. And he's going to be massive on Wednesday against Arsenal if he can put in the level of performances that he's been putting up against Newcastle, I thought, in that second half, and also Liverpool, I thought was fantastic. And yesterday, I thought he showed real concentration and application throughout the game, which again, yes, non-league side, pinch of salt, all that kind of stuff, but I thought he did well. And he was involved here. This was lovely from Maddison. And I thought, to be fair, Maddison will get clogged for not being able to impact the game in terms of a goal or an assist against a long league side. And I understand that. Going into it, Spurs fans shouldn't feel arrogant for expecting Spurs to batter Tamworth in terms of the golfing quality. And I understand why people will look at Maddison and saying you should be taking grips of these kind of games as a bare minimum, obviously. But he had moments. I thought in the first half, in terms of attacking quality, he was the best player for us by a mile, and he should be. But that little nutmeg there, and it's a good save from Singh, I think, in goal. This moment, Hollis, I think it was, the centre-half, this kind of summed it up a little bit for Spurs, and the gaining of, and how much they gained confidence. Like, the little roulette to get away from Sarr and Werner. Mikey Moore, I thought, had a much better second half. First half, obviously, he wasn't too involved. I still thought he was the best player out of the front three in the first half. I thought, Johnson and Werner just did not do enough at all, respectively. I know Werner is playing as a striker with his back to goal for the most part in the first half. Obviously, the game opened up a little bit more in the second half. And obviously that chance that he went through one-on-one, which we're going to talk about in a sec. But in terms of creativity, yes, he played that ball through to Maddison that he maybe should have got on the end of, or maybe overhit just a little bit. He was so poor. And Johnson got his goal in the end, but look, I like Brennan Johnson, and I've stuck up for him a lot. I really have. And that's because I think his output is, pretty sensational and worthy of being a valued squad member. Absolutely. I think he's our top goal scorer this season. He can affect games in terms of his output despite little involvement, and he can be on the periphery at times. But that ability to get to the back post and score those kind of goals and get on the end of things is a skill, and people will pretend that it's not because he doesn't play well, in most games, or certainly doesn't affect the game. The better way of saying it is probably doesn't affect the game in the way that people want him to. Maybe because they're frustrated about the type of winger that he is, and he is glaringly not the type of winger that we need, especially when you're playing with Werner or Son and Johnson. People have said this so many times, and it is so true that having those two kind of types of wingers, final action players who want to get on the end of things, playing on the pitch at the same time. And this wasn't just a problem yesterday. This is a problem every game. It's every single game. That's why you need someone like a Mikey Moore who is able to combine and create. And that's what he started to do a lot more of in the second half. He will cross from deeper. Like I was watching, obviously because because Moore returned yesterday, that compilation that somebody made of his performance against Alkmaar was doing the rounds again. And you think about some of the crosses that he was putting in from deeper positions when he just done a little step over and a little shimmy, teasing balls into the box, being able to go to the byline and cut back chances, like that ability and bravery to take on a man. We are missing that so desperately, and that should not we should not be putting that pressure on a 17-year-old to be that creative outlet out wide. Obviously, we haven't got Wilson Odobert at the moment, but having Mikey Moore back is a real boost for Tottenham. It is a real boost in terms of profile. People can say, don't put that much pressure on a 17-year-old, all that kind of stuff. I get that. But people need to realise it is as much about profile as it is about how ready they are, or how, consistent they're going to be, or how experienced they are, or how much you paid for them, I suppose. So more, I thought he really grew into the game. Everything he wants to do is positive. It wasn't all coming up in the first half. And again, first game for 3 months or whatever it is with the virus that he's had. So I thought he did really well. And look, he stands it up to the back post there for Werner, who, Ali McCoy's is a striker and he knows better than me, but he was trying to say he did the right thing by going back across the goalkeeper. Look at the goalkeeper's positioning. Any decent striker heads that in the near post. But Werner's not a decent striker. But yeah, Son and Johnson, just that lack of bravery, or lack of desire to beat a man, and that it's never been about, for me, it's never about technical ability with Johnson, because you see the way he finishes, you see the way he can cross a ball, you see his first touch a lot of the time is really crisp, really good control of the football. It's that lack of unpredictability. It's so predictable. You know exactly what he's going to do. Someone made a really good point on Twitter about it's almost like he runs. It's like he's too upright a lot of the time. He hasn't got that the kind of guile to shimmy or fake. He just doesn't have that. But Werner misses this opportunity, and then this is the big moment. Johnson, it's actually a really good ball in behind. They're a bit stretched. Game opens up. Got to score this opportunity. No Spurs fan in the world is flinching when Werner goes through on goal. Nobody's getting off their seat and kind of getting excited. And look, I don't want to just completely, try and put down a player when obviously one of their big issues is confidence. And I hate to do it, but when you're earning that much money a week, that lack of ability to finish in these kind of games is just absolutely ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And then this was the moment. Imagine being a Spurs fan going into work today, or me having to come on the internet, or anybody having to face up their friends in their friend group if this had gone in. Great block from Basuma. All this, save from Kinski. Just imagine that for a second. But it's Tottenham, and that's what happens. Anyway, we take the lead eventually. A bit embarrassed to kind of have any sort of celebration for this goal. I don't think anybody really moved from a Spurs perspective. Nobody moved on the bench. The away fans, fair play to them. They were great yesterday, but, just like, right, okay, let's just kind of get out of here. We've won the game. We don't want to celebrate too much. I'd love us to show as much inventiveness with our set pieces in league games or bigger games than this. Good ball from Porro, Johnson, Solanke, and then it ends up in the back of the net, obviously. Jed Spence, again, that technical quality, I think, is something that... Obviously, look, he's not the answer at centre-back over Radu Dragusin. But that technical ability, fantastic. The energy that he's got. Jed Spence will be a start. There is a real argument to say that when we've got everybody back fit, that he should really be competing with Porro. 100%. 100%. He gives us something really, really different. Son takes on his man. Kulusevski floats into the space. And how many times have we seen this finish from Decky? Great goal. And again, it's Kulu driving forward, Decky driving forward. Spence on the end of it, blocked. Decky wins it back and Johnson fires it in the back of the net. It was just that thing. It was just that quality of Decky. Bergvall as well, in terms of his tenacity to move the ball quicker and cover ground, that made the difference. And they were tired, and we exploited that. And look, I was annoyed after the game. I was really annoyed after the game because it was just like we should be embarrassed to kind of talk about that as a victory. I've completely got over it now, and it's just one of those things where it's just like, well, we're through. That's all that matters. We won 3-0 in extra time. They pushed us all the way, and you got to give them credit before that and acknowledge that we were just nowhere near good enough yesterday. Someone made a good tweet. I think it was Simon Yemen talking about how Decky has almost become our Rodri a little bit in terms of how we can't really play without him. Crazy, but yeah. It's one of those ones, put it past you, move on to Arsenal. I just wanted to come and talk about the key points in the game, really. Fair play to Tamworth once again. Tottenham are through. They're in the hat. We're in the hat. Villa away, that's what it matters. Arsenal away on Wednesday. Can we do it? I mean, they went out yesterday. They've not been convincing in front of goal. I back us in bigger games. Are we going to win? I don't know, but I'll be there. I'm really looking forward to it. I hate playing them and I hate playing them there, but there's a chance. They'll be licking their wounds a little bit, won't they, after yesterday? always good to follow up a Spurs win with a successful Arsenal hate watch. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. I'll probably do a live stream later just talking through the latest transfer bits. Darren and Doing will be out as well later on. We're nearly at 1,000 subscribers as well. So if you aren't subscribed to the podcast already, the link will be in the description to go and subscribe to that. Exciting things coming in the new year. More podcasts, more content, more everything. Go and follow me on TikTok, all that good stuff as well. So nice one. Up the Spurs.